Hello, welcome to Sports Cruise on UTV Africa. My name is Nachin Webikin. Of course, we will reach you all the way from our studio live here in the nation's capital. While AFCON 2025 don't end finally, it's a time for us as a nation, Super Eagles Nigeria, to take stock, and also for the organizers, CAF, to take stock, and also for Moroccan Federation to take stock as well. And then for the football world, especially Africa, to take stock. The last AFCON, yes, was in Côte d'Ivoire, and then we moved to Morocco. And all day alone, inside our studio, as always, I call him Otumba. The streets call him Otumba, but federal government saying name na Babatunde Oje. A very wonderful welcome to you, Moyami Kilo Shele Show. All right, my guy, welcome.
You, my brother.
You're welcome. AFCON don't end.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Senegal. Congratulations to Morocco. Congratulations to Super Eagles. Even though some people feel that we fell short of achieving our targets in the last AFCON in Côte d'Ivoire. But Atumba, let's start with Morocco first as a host nation. The last time a North African nation hosted the Nations Cup was a long time ago, if my memory serves me right. Egypt. And Morocco is the latest. What do you make of Morocco as a host, and how would you rate Morocco as a footballing nation after the hosting of Nations Cup?
In as much as only the Most High can talk about perfection, I will give Morocco 9 over 10 for everything they did in 2020.
Compared to Côte d'Ivoire?
Yes. In terms of structure, infrastructure, organization, everything was super perfect. But the vibes were not like that of Ivory Coast, because we know that, you and I know that we West Africans, we've got the vibes. The buzz was massive in Côte d'Ivoire, but you can't compare it with that of Morocco. You know, based on their religion, I think they're a bit conservative, and but in terms of the infrastructure, the organization, everything was top notch. And like we say in local parlance, an apple does not fall far from the tree. You know that naturally these people are organized people. They've got the infrastructure. I think the only thing that differentiates them from Europe is the Mediterranean Sea that separates them from Spain. They've got everything. In as much as they are still getting the stakes up till now for the way and manner they went about the whole thing. Because even on a personal note, I just feel that this tournament was scripted for Morocco to win. But Senegal said, no, hold my cup of water. And we saw what played out eventually. I've got to say that Morocco did very well.
They're the number one ranked team in Africa.
Absolutely. It's no surprise at all that they will co-host the 2030 World Cup alongside Spain and Portugal. It's not by mistake that they in fact, let's just say they merit it.
Infrastructure-wise,
Yes,
when Nigeria go to reach that level?
Let's wait for the next 50 years.
50 years before we reach,
my brother,
infrastructure level of Morocco.
You and I know that our guys were in Morocco.
Yeah.
They traveled in the middle of the night.
Safe.
There was no issue. There was no worry of, we're not sure of what is ahead of us. Trains were moving at the right time. Hotels were there. There was nothing like, I can't even make a call. Everything was there. Nothing
like network. They try to load something.
My brother, if you and I stay in this studio till 9 p.m., my beloved sister at home will be worried because she's not sure of how I'm going to navigate my way to get home. But in Morocco, there was nothing like that. You leave your laptop in a stadium, in 24 hours when you go back there, you'll find it. Because even if someone takes it, the person will be fished out. The same cannot be said of our own country. And when you talk about infrastructure, aside the Gossip Akpabio Stadium, which other stadium do you have? The MK Abiola Stadium in Abuja is a potato farm. You can't even ask Comoros to come and train there. They will reject it. So what do you have?
We saw the knockout stage, 9 matches, 9 different stadiums in Morocco for the very first time in AFCON. Infrastructure-wise, I think only South Africa comes close.
Yes, I think Egypt too. I've got what it takes to
and then maybe Côte d'Ivoire just finished hosting to an extent. Their infrastructure level is at the same level in Morocco.
Massive, yeah.
But in terms of the organization CAF, let's go to CAF. The first game, everybody they talk about the first game against Morocco. That was where they saw the handwriting on the wall that it's not going to be smooth in terms of officiating or in terms of officials. But then, what do you make of the matches quality in terms of quality compared to the last AFCON? This AFCON, there were no surprises compared to the last one. We saw smaller teams, pull off stunts in the last AFCON, but in Morocco, we didn't see that this time around.
I think the top guns stepped up in AFCON 2025. We're talking about a tournament in which 121 goals were scored. And we saw from the get-go that there was a separation between the big boys and the young boys. We saw in the first game, Morocco versus Comoros, the Atlas Lions won by 2-0. And from that moment, we noticed that officiating was going to be a very big issue in AFCON because we saw questionable calls. And for the often time, let me repeat it again, that the just concluded AFCON was scripted for Morocco to win. But Senegal had other ideas, and we've got to appreciate them for bailing Africa out of that, because just maybe we would have had an unworthy champion eventually. But I'm excited for Senegal. It shows progression in their football. They are matching words with action as far as grassroots development is concerned, and they are reaping the fruits now.
Let's focus on the officiating. Is this the worst officiated AFCON you've seen? I know you're a true follower of African football, Nigerian football at large. But then, is this the worst officiated AFCON you've seen in recent time? We did not have this much trouble in the last AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire. There were VAR in the last AFCON as well.
I think VAR, I've got to say that VAR was very active in Cote d'Ivoire, but VAR was almost like non-existent in Morocco, because when you expect the center referee to go to the monitor and see and check on whatever incidences that needed to be checked upon, but they will just turn a blind eye, especially games involving the host, Morocco, which for me was not too pleasant, especially for neutrals, or those that were not supporting any side. They were just interested in watching good football. A notable mention has to be the game between Nigeria and was it Uganda or Tunisia? I beg your pardon. I think the Malian referee didn't cover himself in glory. We saw the game involving Morocco and Cameroon too. There were some questionable calls in that particular game as well. And the biggest of them all was with the final, which remains a talking point as far as the just concluded AFCON is concerned. I feel that CAF needs to really sit down and look into what really played out in Morocco, because it didn't help African football in any way. Because how do you explain the fact that we are top quality officiating in Ivory Coast, and just a year down the line, we're having reservations about the AFCON? For someone like me that has followed AFCON far back 1992 as a very young kid, I feel that I wouldn't want a situation where we have a repeat of what played out in year 2000, where Nigeria was denied the AFCON trophy just because of the unfortunate officiating of that Tunisian referee. Only God knows where he is right now, but CAF needs to get its act right when it comes to officiating. Just maybe most of these coaches should go for further trainings. We see in Europe how these guys get it right. Not 100%. Yes, not 100%. But if you watch if you see what we see especially in leagues like the Serie A, the La Liga, and even the Bundesliga, though we have our reservations about the English Premier League, but they are top notch. You see the female referees, they do very well. Even when they officiate games involving male teams, they do very well. But here in Africa, what we saw, the Ghanaian referee,
Daniel,
he's still getting the basketballs, especially from Nigerian fans. He came back
and held a press conference and interview.
The Malian referee, like I said, I think there were just 2 or 3 referees that really did well. And if I can personally recommend them for for bigger games, I think I will. Like the South African referee, the Cameroonian referee, Mbongile, the South African referee did very well.
He was in charge of the VAR between Nigeria and Morocco, I think.
Yes,
the VAR,
yes. He did very well for himself, but the center referee, the Ghanaian, didn't do well at all. So CAF needs to get their act right. We need to actually fashion a way around upgrading some of these referees. Those ones that, permit me to use the word surplus to requirement, maybe they need to be downgraded and not officiate national team assignment, just maybe WAFOB qualifiers and even maybe under 20 AFCON.
Otumba, before we focus more on the finals, let's focus more on the officiating. Did CAF miss the opportunity of setting a standard for match officials? Because the complaint not just start all of a sudden. There was a sequence of bad officiating in the concluded AFCON. From the first game against Morocco, some were questioning the cause of the ref. Down to the quarterfinals, the round of 16 as well. There were questions here and there, but it seemed maybe CAF was not interested. And then against Nigeria, there was changes of match officials, and then they gave us a Ghanaian, a West African ref official, match official, gave us a South African VAR official. We all thought, well, maybe CAF don't want to arrest the situation, but did CAF miss the opportunity? Absolutely,
they did. For me, I feel that, like I said earlier, it was scripted for everything to favor Morocco eventually. But they got to the finals. Thankfully, we can't call them champions now. But like we always say, it's a popular saying that he who plays the piper, they take the tune. Morocco, it's not far-fetched that they are doing all of this because they've got the infrastructure. They are the ones hosting major tournaments in Africa. They are more or less like
helping a CAF.
When other teams other countries have refused to step up and try to develop their infrastructure, there's no way that CAF will even consider a country like Nigeria when they've got Morocco, who they can fall back to even with their eyes closed. We saw the infrastructures in Tangier, Agadir, Casablanca, Rabat. Fares, they're all top notch. Most of the games you see, especially in Fairs, it will be raining and the ball will be moving smoothly.
No flood.
Drainage, perfect. Everything is perfect.
No water.
Good for football. So that explains why maybe everything was done to favor Morocco, because they can't put in such billions of dollars to host this tournament and not get something as a reward. Unfortunately for them, they've got to use Stanley Nwabali's towels that they took during the semi-finals against Nigeria. They should use it to wipe their premium tears, because eventually they showcase themselves that they are bad hosts. Because if you look at the shenanigans that played out, especially in the final, it showed that Morocco, despite the fact that they've got their good side, especially when it comes to having good infrastructure and all that, they are bad losers.
Let's talk about before we talk the finals. I wanted to get your take on, but let's finish up with Senegal. Now, the final proper. There are so many people coming for the head of Papetel. And deservedly. Football has got its rules and regulation. You cannot be the judge and be the judge of your own case at the same time and then apportion your own victory to yourself. Well, it's no longer news that Senegal, walked out, left with only money on the pitch, who stood back and then was able to make sure that the players come back. But come on, was that a penalty? Was that decision enough for Senegal to have walked out on the pitch? And do you also share the blame of those who believes that Senegal coach and Senegal team no really supposed to walk out of that pitch, regardless of how the decision was against them? And also there are those who feels, yes, in as much as Morocco have been favored, whether it's a soft penalty, it doesn't really matter what time the penalty was awarded. What mattered was the fact that is it a penalty or not. Otumba, they come, no go anywhere. Make we pay small bills. When we come back, of course, we're going to take a look at all the whole chaos in that final. And also, that says Super Eagles, we'll leave them because we go soon reach there. Yes, and Nigerians on they take stock of our guys. We reach final the last time, but this time around, we'll not see final. So all of this, when we come back, don't go anywhere. Sports Cruise, we just truly Chinwe Pikin on top, UTV Africa. We are here. And welcome back, still Sports Cruise with us truly, Chinwe Pikin on top, UTV Africa, and we are reaching you all the way from our studio in the nation's capital. It's stock taking right now after the AFCON, and we are looking at the finals and all the whole chaos, everything will happen in that final. I see there with Otumba, there are those who wants the head of Papa Chow. There are those who believes that Senegal no really try. They're not supposed to walk out, come up from that pitch. Give me your honest take. Senegal, Morocco final. Was that enough for Senegal to have walked out?
First of all, I'll say that it was a spot-on penalty because El Hadji Diouf, the West Ham wing-back defender, pulled back Brahim Diaz.
Regardless of how heavy.
He had his hand
whether heavy or
on his
slight
neck.
touch, whether slight,
It
whether
was
heavy.
a spot-on penalty.
Okay.
But I don't think, talking football now, in footballing terms, there was absolutely no reason whatsoever to justify the Senegalese team's action. Walking off the field of play was a low blow for the image of African football.
In the final.
In a final. A tournament that was watched by billions of people. We all know how we rated the AFCON in Ivory Coast, even despite the fact that some naysayers said it was a tournament of low quality. But they had to keep their mouths shut when they got the backlash from Africans. And for those that had soft spot for Africa, a notable mention has to be Joey Barton and Jamie Carragher. I think
and they host of other people.
They chose to keep their mouth shut now when they got the booze. For me, it was a spot-on penalty, a good call by the Congolese referee, who for me has to be one of the best center referees in Africa right now, Jean Ndala. He did very well in that final. It was a spot-on penalty, but the Senegalese team should have just allowed the referee's decision to stand because it was the referee and he had the call to make. There was nothing that justified their action because at some point I was asking myself, am I watching an entire sport football match between GSS Buhari and GSS Wuse? It was a low blow for Nigeria, for African football as in terms of image. So whatever action, a disciplinary action that CAF decides to take on Papetia, I think he deserves it. And we are hearing that even Senegal might be banned from the World Cup, though that is more or less like market women talk for now, because I don't see that happening. But whatever fine, whatever sanctions that the national team coach and the entire team get, I think they deserve it. They shouldn't have done that. And we've got to celebrate former African Footballer of the Year, two-time former African Footballer of the Year, Sadio Mane, for having the balls and the courage, to stay on the field.
I think he saved the day.
He saved the day.
He was only player
He stayed
left.
on the field, spoke to one or two persons. We saw his ear-to-ear conversation with former Liverpool player El Hadji Diouf.
And of course, Leroy.
Claude Leroy, former... the man that has been there everywhere in Africa.
It's more like it's Africa at the moment.
Yes. So he spoke with them and the players obliged and they came back on the field of play. The penalty stood, it was taken. And Brahim Diaz, who for me, I don't know whether I will call it disrespect or pride, he chose to go for a panenka when Morocco were within touching distance or lifting that particular trophy, which has eluded them for
close to
49 years. Yeah. The last time they won it was 1976. But he chose to go for the spectacular. And Edouard Mendy, who is a former FIFA best goalkeeper, just had a field day by just grabbing the ball. And from there, we saw what played out in the extra time. Pape Gueye, the Villarreal man, picked his spot. He was in the right place at the right time, ably assisted by Ghana Gay, the Everton midfielder. And that was how the whole thing ended. And it's good to see that Senegal, I beg your pardon, are reaping the fruit of from their investment in grassroots football. Three finals in the last 4 tournaments, AFCON tournament is massive. 2021 champions and now champions in 2025. I think it's massive. It's a bold statement to the fact that they are not just the best team in Africa. If up until when Morocco finished as semi-finalists in the last World Cup in Qatar, I think Senegal stands out among the rest of the African teams as the best team in Africa.
It's also important to note that Senegal won these 2 AFCON with 2 home base. Senegal won this AFCON with 2 home base coaches, and yes, in their former player and also in Papa Thiaw currently, 2 home base coaches of Senegal have made sure that Senegal won 2 AFCON titles. Now, Otumba, before we touch base with Super Eagles, let's talk about this Tower Gate. Now, Morocco, not just the Senegal, the final match, you know, Moroccans, not just the ball boys. We've seen them fight our own Stanley Nwabali, dragging towels. You know, but there are those who say, well, there's voodoo, there's juju in football. We saw our coach, Eric Shaw, at the last World Cup qualifiers after the DR Congo match. And he came out to say, well, the reason why I wanted come up as in teeth in the dugout was that somebody was doing something like juju.
Sprinkling water.
Is there juju in football?
Well, it cannot be scientifically proven that there is juju in football. I feel that footballers and football teams should just go there on the pitch of play and do their thing. The fact that, especially in that final, we saw that it was raining heavily, and the goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy, needed to be using the towel to clean his gloves so that he can have a full grasp of the ball whenever shots come.
Which is obtainable anywhere in the world.
It's obtainable anywhere in the world. And we saw the reserve goalkeeper of the Senegalese team. He had to stay behind the goal line, the goal post to protect the towel. We saw how the Moroccan officials, even the ball boys, had to wrestle him to the ground, but he didn't let go of the towel. The same thing happened even before that final, especially in the case involving our own very own Stanley Nwabali. 2 towels were taken away from him, and we saw his gestures against the Moroccans. It showed that he was not really happy about it. And even when they lost the final, he told them he posted on his social media handle that they should use the towels they took from him to wipe their tears. So I think that was not a very good sportsman-like behavior on the part of Morocco. They didn't really do well. And for a team, for a country that will be hosting the World Cup in the next 4 years, I don't think they really covered themselves in glory with that action. It is ridiculous. CAF has to investigate it, and the necessary sanctions should be meted out to everyone, because it was glaring for everyone, or for everybody in the world to see. There were cameras everywhere, so the faces of the guys that did that nasty thing, they are not hidden.
Well, the news still coming out from Morocco is the fact that Senegalese fans, other nationals fans are missing. In fact, we saw pictures of Senegalese fans and other, tagged, how do I just
Black Africans.
I call them football hooligans or rioters, because that's what they tagged them. They destroyed destruction of stadium facilities and the rest. I saw them being arraigned in court out there in Morocco. In fact, there are also talks about other nationals where they do their own work, where nothing consign them with football, facing a lot of hostilities in Morocco. But we don't want to see this in football. It's not win at all costs. We are heading to Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda next year.
Next year, yeah.
And 3 nations. We don't want a situation where people will be looking at Moroccan nationals as enemies when they come out to play. Because obviously, Morocco will be in the next AFCON.
Surely, they've got to be there. We'd love to see them there. Though Walid Regragui, their coach, might not be in the on the bench, on the sidelines, because the talks making the round that he might not even be there to manage them
At the
in
World
the
Cup.
2026 World Cup in the summer, because he will have to resign, because one of the reasons why it has to happen is because they are not happy with the fact that they did not lay their hands on the gold medal. And we saw it when the gold medal the medal presentation was done with Infantino, the FIFA president, and Patrice Motsepe, the CAF president. We saw that they were not happy.
Nobody wants to touch the top trophy.
They were very angry with the fact that there was no return of investment, if I'm to use that word, because they didn't win the trophy. So I feel that Morocco has laid a very bad antecedent, and I just hope and pray that Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania will not toe that line. We saw two teams from these three next co-hosts in just concluded AFCON. Uganda were there, Tanzania were there, though they crashed out in the first round. They were actually in the same group with Nigeria, in Group C. Kenya were not there. I hope they will be good hosts. These three teams also hosted the recently scrapped African Nations Championship, which we call CHAN. I believe strongly that they will not toe the line of Morocco, because East Africans, they've got a different mentality from North Africans. No disrespect to anybody, but I just feel that sanctions should be meted out on Morocco, so that if CAF does not do something about it, it will look as if you can do things like this and get away with it. And we're not expecting a slap in the wrist kind of sanction.
Algeria
It should be heavy. It should be heavy. Lucas Zidane, the goalkeeper, the Algerian,
cumulatively almost 100,000 in fine for Algeria.
Anybody we don't mess up, make it collect what he's supposed to collect. So that's the way to go about it. As far as the next AFCON is concerned, we are hoping that we will not see the kind of shenanigans we saw in Morocco in 2027.
Of course, all eyes on Tanzania, all eyes on Uganda, all eyes on Kenya. Though Kenya no make it to this Nations Cup, but their president, Paul Kagame, was on hand to witness the final in Morocco. Well, yes, Morocco did not win it. And Otumba, you said Senegal saved football.
Yeah,
and then
African football.
And then you can't hammer them and then say no good as the worker come out. If they had not left, if they had remained on the pitch,
yes, they are remained on the pitch. You know, their protestations, just maybe the referee might have had the chance to visit the monitor, maybe for the second time, you know, to see whether there was that it was a clear foul in the box.
But we've seen so far ref refusing to visit the monitor against Tanzania and Cameroon.
But eventually did.
Cameroon
eventually did. Because there's this school of thought that when the Senegalese team walked off and they went back into the dressing room, they went to do some kind of black magic. And when they came out, Brahim Diaz was hypnotized and he chose to go for the spectacular.
The time wasting, take away this team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before that penalty bomb from Brahim Diaz.
Senegal deserves whatever sanctions that is coming at them, because that should not happen on a night like that. It took the shine off everything that surrounded that particular final. It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened.
Well, you be the judge, of course. There are those who believe that Senegal are right. They say if you want something, you have to go for it. Sometimes I show a little bit of stubborn. But then in a controlled environment where there are rules and regulations, you have to be very careful. And of course, the FIFA president was there, CAF president was there. And the fear is that other teams might emulate Senegal. And if things do not go their way, they will choose to pack their bags and come out inside pitch, go sit down for dressing room, say lie until the right thing is done. And which is what we do not want to see in football. We do not want to see that where important games will be going on and then teams, say, ref, blow with you, like, go just get up, come out inside pitch, go sit down for dressing room.
To add to what I've said, I feel that the Moroccans actually had this sense of entitlement. Now we the host now, but everything's supposed to go our way. Because even post-match conferences, they didn't allow it to hold.
CAF president said it there too. That so many times they call for government or nations to come and bid for even major tournaments. Nobody comes. He has, in fact, the video is trending now. It's only Morocco sometimes that's okay. We'll go help you.
But the good thing is we have confirmed co-host for the next AFCON.
True.
And South Africa and Botswana have decided to put a step forward.
Yeah.
They've decided to brave the odd and show their intent to host the 2028 AFCON. So I just hope that it will work out well. I feel we'll
and then after the 2028, and then we have the four.
The next one will be in 2032.
So that's where I was going to go with you now. There are those who once also the heads of Patrice Motsepe. We saw Sasu, throw that question to him that he's working for the interests of the Europeans. Do you have any contrary opinion of, we playing AFCON for 4 years?
I think since the AFCON started, I've followed, if I'm not mistaken, cumulatively, I've watched, right from 92 in Senegal till now, maybe like between 10 and 15 AFCONs. And we've invested so much interest and emotions to the tournament, the African showpiece that takes place every 2 years. Now it has been rejigged. Now it's going to be every 4 years. For me, it's more or less like, permit me to use the word neocolonialism, because we are doing everything possible to please the Europeans.
You think so?
I won't be surprised one day we'll wake up and we'll say the next AFCON will be hosted by Malta or Gibraltar.
Oh, who's time?
Because we are doing everything to just to please them. The Chan tournament has been scrapped. We're talking about having our own African Nations League. Must we do everything to suit them, to please them?
Then what about the players? Are you not considering the players that their hustle, their oil, things, their oil?
I stand to be corrected. Show me a video or audio evidence where an African footballer has complained about the 2-year interval between AFCON.
But clubs are refusing to release players during this tournament. It
shouldn't be. It's because they've taken us for granted. For the first time in a long time, players were released about 15 days before the tournament. It is actually it is totally unacceptable. It is uncalled for.
Teams can't even play friendly matches before the tournament.
Can the European clubs do that when the Copa America is at hand? The answer is no. So why are they rubbing it on our faces that they can do anything with us and get away with it? So it shouldn't happen.
You are throwing the line of Osasu that
absolutely. I think Patrice Motsepe progressed in error by changing the timing of the AFCON.
What about African Nations League? The tournament before the in between before the
as much as it will give us it will assist some African teams in terms of arranging and organizing friendly matches, because that is the way I see the Nations League. You have to scratch whatever is called friendly matches. It will be more or less like top teams playing in a particular level. If you don't do well, you drop down to the lower level. So whatever that is called international friendlies will be scratched. I love that. To a particular
just like the Euros, they use the Nations League as more like
it is another way of you getting points to increase your standings in the monthly released FIFA rankings. But in as much as we are trying to toe the line and do what is right, we should not be dogmatic about it.
Well, not just Otumba. Yes, a lot of people share the same notion that he just alluded here, that hosting AFCON for 4 years, our own AFCON, our own property, it's not good. In fact, everybody they vex, not just Nigerians. There are those who feels that Patrice Motsepe is dancing, to the tune of the Africans. Well, rather of the Europeans. Well, the Nations Cup is Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. Hopefully, we'll not go see this level of officiating what we'll see in Morocco. We'll go on a quick break. And when we come back, also Super Eagles, the last time, under Pissarro, without beautiful football, we got to the finals. And this year, with beautiful football under Eric Shell, we stopped at third place. Sunday, they asked, why would they celebrate third place? Gone are those days. We're even second, supposed to make us verse. And they come back. Sports Cruise alongside Otumba. We are coming back. All right, welcome back. Sports Cruiser with us truly Chinwe Pekin. With my guy, my G Otumba, all the way from our studio, the nation's capital. Otumba, Jose Pizarro, without beautiful football, took us to the final. There was no beautiful football. In fact, our first two games was nothing to write home about.
Very scrappy.
Very scrappy. And we managed to reach the finals and then face the host nation in Côte d'Ivoire. Well, let's not talk about the World Cup qualifiers. That don't pass. And I medicine after that. But Nations Cup 2025, Eric Shaw, beautiful football, but we'll not see final. How would you rate Super Eagles in the concluded AFCON?
Yes, the tag going into the 2025 AFCON was Niger for the win. Hashtag Niger for the win. But eventually, what played out was Niger for the golden bronze. For every good thing that the Super Eagles did, I think highest possession of all the teams in AFCON, Nigeria had the highest, 66 points. Most consecutive wins in the AFCON, Nigeria had 5. The most goals scored, Nigeria scored 14. We considered just 4. Big chances created, Nigeria created 27 in the entire tournament. So I think they did very well. They won bronze for the 9th time. Nigeria has never, we've got to put it on record that Nigeria has never lost a bronze medal match in the AFCON. The first one was in 1976, and the last one was in the just concluded AFCON, and we did it for the opt-in time. In as much as we shouldn't celebrate mediocrity, because
now the same word, the same language, and the same word where Sondoli say use, but that we shouldn't celebrate mediocrity.
Gone are the days where when you say you lose gallantly. The fact that we lost narrowly on penalties, I feel that the guys let us down with the way and manner they prosecuted the penalty shootout against the host. If they had done better, just maybe Morocco wouldn't even have had the chance of even saying we got to the final, we're supposed to win.
But the officiating, there are those also officiating was poor against Super Eagles and Morocco.
But they couldn't bridge our defense for 120 plus minutes. And when we had the chance of doing that from 12 yards, we faltered. If only Samuel Chukwueze had been more clinical from 12 yards, just maybe the Moroccans wouldn't have had the chance of even saying we are in contention to win the trophy.
And that stopped us from, achieving our last AFCON aim of reaching the final, because we fell short this time around.
We fell short. Because of that one silver the last time and now bronze. So I feel that some persons even believe that just maybe the Super Eagles did not train for penalties.
Against Morocco.
Before the game, because the nonchalance, Samuel Chukwueze was practically chewing gum, and he didn't even put effort. My last child is 4. If you give her, if she had found herself in that kind of situation, just maybe she would have done better. That was a low blow on the part of Samuel Chukwueze. I think he let not only his family members down, but over 200 million Nigerians. But
now we did not get to the finals of this one. We got to the finals of the last one under Jose Pizarro without beautiful games. Without beautiful football, rather. Yeah. And this time around, we'll have a rickshaw, a Malian with beautiful football, but then we fell short of reaching the final.
Yes, it is what it is. He's famous and known for diamond formation. At some point in the competition, he had to jettison it. He was forced to play 3 at the back at some point. But I've got to give him his flowers.
Eric Shaw.
He did very well. When he was in charge of the Eagles of Mali in the last AFCON in Ivory Coast, they were pouring water on his head like as if it was a
after Côte d'Ivoire came back.
But you could see the confidence at which he prosecuted games in the AFCON. He was drinking water. He
felt relaxed. He was looking more younger.
90 minutes. He was standing for 90 minutes plus in games. Even when it was raining, it took him at some point. He had to change his track suit. But I feel that young man deserves a longer term contract extension for what he has achieved with the Super Eagles. Even though going into the AFCON, like I said in our introduction, that the hashtag was Niger for the win, but we had to settle for Niger for the golden bronze. We'll go again in 2027. The man has said it that he's going to comb the length and breadth of Europe to find players of Nigerian descent to add more quality to the Super Eagles. I remember saying it on a different platform a couple of minutes ago that there are players that even if I'm given the opportunity to be more or less like a scout to Eric Sekochel, I will recommend some
players.
good and quality players to the national team. I saw David Moses play for Slava Prague against Barcelona, though they lost by 4-2. What that young man's industry, craft and graft in the middle of the park. He held his own against a better fancied Pedri. In fact, Pedri didn't sell that game because he was substituted injured because of an hamstring injury. David Moses is a fantastic player. Leslie Ugochukwu,
for Burnley.
Though he has played for the junior teams of the French team, I think he stands a good chance of playing for Nigeria.
And then his
uncle played for Nigeria in the Olympics, talking about Onyeka Chiapam. Ato Okonkwo, I feel down his signed, sealed and delivered. Regardless of what anybody might say, just maybe the inclusion of Tosin Adarabi Oyo too will be a good one, though he's not a young man.
I remember you and I sat inside the studio when the 55-man or 100-man list that came out from Eric Shell, and then we talked about how there weren't no home-based players, and then NFF technical director Austin Egwafo Serazu, the man who has been at the helm of affairs as technical director for NFF for God knows how long, and also at 4 times he has been called to save Super Eagles and football.
I gave him a name. Head of the rescue team.
Head of rescue team. If you see call on the same team, I named it that. Well, Egwabo is saying that he felt disappointed that Eric Shea and Nigeria did not go to this Nations Cup with home-based players. And then he's saying that we should forget what happened in Chan. And we could have easily, had like 4 players in this team. And then people are asking, which league? The league is not viable. It's not productive. There's nothing to write home about the league. The players, they're angling. They want to go to play abroad. Even the ones that played in China or even Remo Stars players, how many of them are still playing their trade in Nigerian league? So they're always looking for a way out. But do you share the same sentiment or notion with Serazo Austin Egwafo, that he felt disappointed I wouldn't go with home base?
Frankly speaking, I really don't know what is playing through the head of Austin Egwafo. But on the flip side, it has been more or less like a tradition for every Super Eagles handler to add 1 or 2 players from the domestic league. You remember 2002, Korea, Japan? A certain Vincent Enyama was included. He was playing for Enyimba. Like 3-4 AFCONs, previous AFCONs, I think maybe 2019 or 2017 or 2021, I can't remember vividly right now. John Noble, a certain John Noble, who was a goalkeeper for Enyimba, was added to the team. Even the last time Nigeria won the AFCON in 2013 in South Africa, we saw a plethora of players playing in the NPFL. Ejike Izwenyi, Gabriel Rubel,
Sondemba,
Godfrey Obuabona, and Azubike Egwekwe. They were all playing in the NPFL. And for whatever they achieved in their life, I think that 2013 will remain memorable. It will live rent-free in their heads for the rest of their lives. And they didn't just make name for themselves, they made their family proud. But at this moment in time, I just feel that Eric Sokuchel felt that he will be dodging a bullet by not including any NPFL players. In that when you consider what played out in Tanzania and Kenya during the recently scrapped Chan tournament, where many of the players didn't cover themselves in glory. For a player like Leonard Ngenge, who just secured a move from Remo Stars to Leeds United Academy, he had a woeful tournament, which was below his standards. We all know what he can offer. He's a dependable defender, but he had a woeful tournament. But I just feel that the scouts still feel that he's got the potentials, and he has sealed a lifelong and memorable dream move
to Leeds United. Even if it doesn't work out, he can easily pump to championship.
He can borrow a leaf from Benjamin Frederick, who was seriously missed in the AFCON. We started from the B team of Brentford He went on loan to Denda, and
the rest is history.
The rest, we say, is history. We missed him so much in the AFCON, but I believe strongly that by the time the 2027 qualifiers will commence, we'll see him at his best once again.
Well, I would like you to rate Shola outing, Eric Shell's outing in this AFCON over 10, because NFL president don't talk, say, Bila said the marriage will continue, and Eric Shell too has said that what this team get the potential to win the next AFCON in Kenya, in Uganda or Tanzania. Rate out of 10.
I think I'm going to give him 8 over 10. When you consider the fact that the Super Eagles team was more or less like a sinking ship, especially during the World Cup qualifiers. He took over when things were so bad, but he was able to salvage the situation to a point where he had to, in fact, our hopes were raised that just maybe we could qualify for the World Cup from the back door. But it didn't happen in the playoffs against DR Congo, even though there's this school of thoughts that it can still happen because of the eligibility issue that is going on with the DR Congo team. So I will just keep our fingers crossed about that. But Eric Sekuchel really did very well in the AFCON. And his achievement and triumph, if I'm to use that word, didn't go unnoticed because after the AFCON, we saw how the Gabonese team, the Tunisian Football Federation, and one other team are actually interested in securing his services.
Leaving Morocco, and he who says Eric Shell might not be the new coach of Moroccan national team.
But the man has given his word that he will continue with the Super Eagles, that he has really enjoyed his time. I don't think, no disrespect to the teams he has managed in the past, I don't think he has had it this good, working with
both
quality
on paper on the field,
and natural and blessed players. Like we say where I come from, Abinibi, we have to see ability. You know, you can't take that away from Nigerian footballers, that they are blessed and that talent is always there. So you want to continue in this with the team, and he has said it that he will come the length and breadth of Europe. But the advice I've got for him, for all those working with him, be it his manager or agent, they should tell him that he should keep an eye on what is going on in the MPFL. You can't throw away the bathwater with the baby. No matter what happened, even though it's something we want to forget in Tanzania and Kenya, you cannot underestimate what the players in the MPFL can bring to the
because
table.
They are hungry. Their stomach, they empty. Their family needs something. They want to better their life. They need the opportunity. They want to die on the pitch. They need every available opportunity for them to excel. And there are those who, in fact, we went 26 over 26 foreign-based players to this Nations Cup.
Yeah. The only player that you can say plays for a less fancy team has to be Stanley Nwabali, that plays for Chippa United. Amas Obasoge plays for Singida Black Stars in the Tanzanian League. Just maybe those two. Yeah.
What's a tournament where the players no protest? What's a Premier League? Or rather, what's a tournament where Super Eagles no protest about salary, about allowances, bonuses, and the rest of them? Well, we thought it was the end during the World Cup qualifiers before the DR Congo match, even though it didn't turn out well. Well, this time around again, we came back out to the same thing. Bonuses and allowances. When will it ever end that we will go to a major tournament and they will just focus on tax our hand instead of asking for money, instead of asking for bonuses? Some believe that that shouldn't have happened, considering the fact that it was not up to 2 months that they protested before the DR Congo game.
For me, I feel that I'm going to go. I think I need to go out on the administrators now.
That's NFF.
Yes.
Goso and the rest of them. NS, National Sports Commission,
yes.
Don't forget.
I think they didn't do their own work. And they should try as much as possible not to allow this to ever happen again. I felt that it's an era that we should have jumped and passed. For me, it's more or less like us living in the Stone Age era at this time, when players will be protesting, and it will take bureaucracy. It will now require the national team captain to come up and say, okay,
if they don't pay,
if the Football Federation does not pay, I will pay from my own pocket just for the game to go on.
ahead.
Come on. We can't keep doing this. We did not hear this in the camp of the Comoros team. We did not hear about this in the Equatorial Guinea team.
Senegal.
Mozambique. No, I'm even talking about less
lesser
fancy team. Despite the fact that they crashed out early, in their camps, they were vibing well, dancing, training as at when due. There was never anything like protestation for allowances and wages. How come the supposed biggest team in Africa, the giant of Africa, we're talking about wages and allowance in 2026? Come on, we can do better.
Did they do bad in coming out to say, well, I go pay if NFF do not pay the bonuses or the allowance?
That is what leadership is about. And even though he got the buzz, some people were saying, be like say you get money and you won't flaunt them. But that is what leadership is
Mickey
about.
did the same thing during Rio Olympics as well.
Yes, even though some persons are of the school of thought that he didn't actually do that it was a football federation that actually redeemed his own image. But we're talking about the AFCON 2025, and he has done well for himself by coming out to do that. It takes courage to do that. He would have chosen to say, okay, no account now. Nobody knows what I have. Nobody knows what I'm worth.
Let's suffer it. Anything will happen may happen.
Let the ship sink. Everybody will go back to our clubs and move on. But he chose to, be honorable and choose to, do what the NFL have and the National Sports Commission have failed to do. They should do their jobs. Taxpayers' money is being used to, pay their own salaries. They should do what they are supposed to do, because these players, they sweat blood on the field of play. They are the gladiators. And like the scripture says, a laborer deserves his wages. They should be paid as at when due.
Now, we are starting another AFCON qualifiers, and the next AFCON is next year. I hope they have started, government don't start to process the money for them, so that we'll not go hear story again next year about match bonuses and allowances.
Permit me to interject. As a crusader and lover of women football, I feel the next assignment should be how the Super Falcons will successfully defend their title in Morocco. We're going back to Morocco again
this year
in a couple of months. AFCON starts 17th March. And regardless of what we saw in the AFCON, I jokingly told a friend that the Atlas Lionesses, they lost to Nigeria in the final. This time around, they will not only play football with studs, iron studs under their boots, they will be playing with machetes, because they will go all out, because affliction has risen against them twice. They lost the WAFCON, the AFCON final, they lost the AFCON final. They wouldn't want a repeat of that when proceedings kicks off in March. So every hands must be on deck, especially on the part of the National Sports Commission, the Nigerian Football Federation, to make sure that we successfully
the ministries, everybody where they're in charge of.
We don't have a ministry anymore.
I know,
it's just
Minister of Finance, they're in charge of processing the money.
Logistics.
They should get to work immediately.
Everything should be, the T should be crossed, the I's should be dotted. There should be no margin for error going into the WAFCON, because we must successfully defend that title.
Otumba, Sondoli says he's not happy with the team celebrating their third place. In fact, he's of the opinion that the issue, the small the issue Osimhen had with Lookman actually derailed our momentum, actually stopped our push to go all out and get to the finals. I don't know if he shared the same sentiment with Sondoli. Well, he said before, if we win second, we used to shed tears for getting to second or third, but he saw the guys, everybody was celebrating third place after the match against Egypt. I don't know what you make of Sondoli. He's one man, both as a club, as a coach, as a player.
The Guardiola of African football. If
they find who they stubborn, who they very vocal, leave out for Sondoli.
I think he's been there and done that as far as the round leader game is concerned. We're talking about a man whose tears made me cry when Nigeria lost to Cameroon in the AFCON 2000, right there at the National Stadium in Surulere. When Victor Ekpeba missed that penalty, and it's one memory that I try as much as possible not to remember, but it's living rent-free in my head. The truth is, Sunday Olise was spot on with his analysis of what played out in that game where we saw Victor Osimhen pointing fingers, and he even refused to listen to his captain, who was trying to tell him, "Oga, calm down." I think that was not a good one on the part of Victor Osimhen. It actually affected team chemistry.
Did it affect Ademola Lookman in particular? Sunday Olise is pointing towards Ademola Lookman that though the rest of the players.
Let's tell ourselves the truth. It took a toll on his mental health because we're talking about a man that even when he's conducting interviews with journalists, you could see that he's a very shy guy. Victor Osimhen just tried to like bully the young man. And for me, this is one of the reasons why so many persons have canvassed for Victor Osimhen not to wear the armband for the Super Eagles because he has not shown leadership by example. But let's just forgive him. I love the fact that in the next game, after that unnecessary brouhaha, they got their acts together. We saw how they jubilated together even when they came up against Algeria. The Algerians felt that would have rocked the boat of the Super Eagles, but it made them stronger. For me, that was aside the Moroccan game in the semi-finals, the Algerian game was the most difficult, but it ended up being the easiest game for the Super Eagles had in the AFCON 2025.
Of course, our next port of call will be Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda for 2027. We don't want to hear a situation whereby Super Eagles will protest for allowances. We don't want to hear a situation where bonuses will be protested for. Maybe a captain who don't know who will be captain at that time come out to say, well, I want to pay. I hope NFL, they are working. I hope NSC, National Sports Commission, they are on top of every situation right now to make sure the issue does not occur again. But then how would you rate our AFCON tournament? How would you rate our AFCON performance compared to Ivory Coast under Jose Pizarro, who came in? He didn't spend much time. I think he came in at about when Nations Cup was about to start. But then we managed to get to the finals of Cote d'Ivoire. Eric Shaw came in with ample time, was able to understand the players early enough and managed to get to third place. You be the judge. Sports Cruise, which was truly Chinwe Bikin. On top of UTV Africa, we are reaching you live from our Abuja studio right here. Thank you so much, Otumba. I call him, the street call him Otumba. Of course, government saying name now. Babatunde Ojo, as always, talking sports, which is exciting.
I had a swell time.
How they take speaker encyclopedia of sports? Which one? Get them. Leave and let that. Thank you, my guy.